Very excited about the journey that Luis Gonzalez is going to describe in this conversation with our Chief Revenue Officer, Gonzalo. We'll dive on how Becle, the maker of a very famous tequila, is digitizing their demand planning. Some people are smiling when I say tequila. It's too early, people. We're not going to serve tequila right now. Digitizing their demand planning process in a complex and highly regulated market. So I'll pass over to the next stage to Luis and Gonzalo.
This is Becle. Becle is present in more than 85 countries. We produce, market, and distribute a multi-category portfolio of over 30 spirit brands. We have a strong track record of building solid brands. We are present worldwide, with distillery and bottling operations in Mexico, the United States, and Ireland. Our global portfolio is based on the legacy of iconic brands such as Tequila 1800, Maestro Doble Tequila, the world's first Cristalino tequila, which in 2023 announced its debut partnership with the US Open as the first official tequila of the tournament. Reserva de la Familia, Bushmills, Pendleton Whiskey, Kraken Rum, and Mezcal 400 Conejos. Becle is committed to creating sustainable growth and becoming one of the most efficient spirits producers, strengthening trust with the company's external stakeholders. Our efforts reduce our negative environmental impact in water, energy, waste, sourcing, and packaging of our products. Innovation and sustainability are our driving forces towards continued growth and success.
Beautiful video. So yeah, delighted to be here, delighted to have you with us, Luis. Thank you. So I go back, it was probably a year and a half ago, we had that first initial kickoff meeting back in Jersey City, not too far away from here. And yeah, super happy to have you on stage now sharing with the broader audience, so what is it that you've been doing so in the last year and a half and your plans for the future. So Luis, welcome. To start with, may I ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your background?
Yep. Can you hear me well? Yeah, perfect. Well, my name is Luis Gonzalez. I'm an industrial engineer with some over 30 years of experience managing and optimizing complex supply chains in different industries. Chemical industry with Amok Fabrics and Fibers, Mondelez International, Kraft Foods, and lately I have joined the spirits business with Becle. Becle is the owner of Jose Cuervo Tequila 1800 Nobel. It's a very interesting business. But among all, I consider myself as a supply chain innovator and digitalization fan. We're living a very, very interesting moment because now that we are transitioning from the very old ERPs, I started with Mapix, with SAP R1, and all the way to S4HANA right now. And platforms like Aera are accelerating the pace of change and are providing the very case for exponential growth of decision automation.
Yeah, I loved what Ray said about exponential efficiency, right? And we're going to get into that. Now going to Becle, so quite powerful video itself, but so not a lot of people in the audience would know that Becle is the largest tequila producer globally and some phenomenal brands. Tell us a little bit more about the company.
Yeah, Becle is not only the largest tequila producer, but it's the oldest. If you think about it, Becle started producing tequila 250 years ago. That's why we have the joke internally that we are a startup of 250 years old. So, we are not only the largest tequila producer, we produce brands like 1800, Dobel, Maestro Dobel, Reserva de la Familia, obviously Jose Cuervo, that we are the second largest Irish whiskey producer in the world with the distillery, the old Bushmills distillery in Ireland. And we participate in American Canadian whiskey with brands like Stranahan's and Pendleton. But as well, we have some portfolio for other categories like rum and ready to drink. So we have a very ample portfolio that provides the very base for the complexity in our business as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. Talking about complexity and, well, again, this story is pretty close to my heart, right? So I've been very close to it. And when I look at where you started and where you're today, it's a pretty phenomenal change. Can you tell us a little bit more about the challenges and the context under which you started and the challenges you were facing?
Yeah, to start with, let's start by saying that Becle used to be a company of around $900 million when Aera was founded, and now we are a $2.7 billion company. So that accelerated growth came from a premiumization strategy plus a very aggressive revenue growth expansion across the world.
That's pretty massive.
92 countries now we are serving by now across the world. And the most amazing thing is that we are doing that with an extraordinary portfolio that has lots of turnover. Our turnover of SKUs is extremely high. It's among the most accelerated turnover in the industry in terms of SKU. So we cannot think of SKU rationalization with certain degree of automation as well in terms of the demand management skill. Yeah.
So when you think about, again, dealing with such a complex network, so where do you think, which was Aera's role and which were those core capabilities that allowed you to unlock this value?
Yeah. First of all, we started the journey with Aera 1.5 years ago exactly, here in the US. If you consider the US market, we have the unique 3-tier system that does not allow us to have real data in real time. As the first piece, we have over 60 distributors, what we call 60 markets, and with thousands of SKUs rotating every single year. Now consider that when we were thinking of a platform to serve the Becle world with 85 additional countries, we're thinking that we needed a platform. We didn't only need a solution for forecasting, we needed to have a platform. And that platform has to be easily integrated with our ERP, has to be scalable at a reasonable price. We have some discussions about it. Third, it has to have the capability to use structured and unstructured data, because we know that in several states and several markets, we don't have that information readily available. So it has to combine all those abilities with the easiness and the capability to be implemented very quick. Because once we proved that it was working, we were going to expand that very quickly, and that's what we've done.
Yeah, speed is kind of your middle name, right? So we've seen a lot of acceleration in the deployment of Aera. Now, one thing that actually described the whole project, so and it's been quite remarkable, and a lot of people talked about this earlier today, is adoption, right? So so everything you've done, so you build that very close to the end users.
Yes.
And we've seen like 100% adoption in the planning team. How did that happen?
Let me start by saying that at the beginning, the first meeting in which you were in our Proxima offices here, I was really skeptic about Aera promising to us that we were going to have 70% acceptance rate. In my previous lives, using machine learning technologies for forecasting, we were reaching 60-something% adoption of the decisions provided by the tools. So I was really kind of skeptical at the beginning, to be honest. But then we started seeing that it was working. And the closeness in the design to the final users was the best way to prove it was worth. So at the end, the adoption of the tool was not that difficult because the people started seeing value out of it. The users started seeing that they were reducing their work hours. They were seeing the value of not only providing the selling forecast, but they start asking for the ability to start producing the forecast of our customers. And now we are in the stage in which we are collaborating with our customers using Aera, in which they only accept the decision that we provide based on the inventory policies agreed between the companies, sell-out equation, and now we are getting there. So the adoption for us was kind of straightforward because we show the value of the tool. People start seeing that their working hours were reduced, and among the best things happening to us was that we were able to deploy the tool with this high level of 96% acceptance rate. That's over 70.
And you challenged us on the 70%. So Luis was saying, you're not going to pass the 70% acceptance rate, and today we're talking about 96%.
96.
So kudos to you, to VD, to the whole organization that is behind this program.
Yes, and actually this has been an amazing journey because if you think about a tool that we were deploying at incredibly amazing speed, and Benicio, who is here as well, hi, Vin. he has deployed the tool across 85 countries, in which we produce now the forecast with only 3 demand managers and 3 planners. So that's the best case to sell it. You know, several people speaks about change management, about how to combine the people, but in general terms, the best way to show it is to show solid results, you know, forecast accuracy improvements. And imagine the power of having our sales leadership team from the US, the very chief sales officer, Matt Deegan, from the US, presenting to other presidents of the Becle world, showing how Aera was helping them to improve their forecast accuracy. How powerful is that? So rather than any change management strategy, results, it's above all.
And if I may, what I saw also at Becle is beyond that kind of fast deployment and fast iteration to learn and getting the users super close is, I think that partnership and collaboration with the business, right? So the technology team, the business has been super tight throughout the whole journey. And actually, what you said is, it's not you positioning or presenting, it's actually the business saying, hey, we see very tangible value so through these platforms, so that's why we need to expand. Talking about value, Luis, so I know there's two core drivers, value drivers that, again, you've been talking about since day one. One was around your ability to increase forecast accuracy, which back in the day was something you wanted to address, and so I know your CFO was keen on getting focused on. And second was inventory reduction.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what you saw over the last several months on this?
Yeah, the only reason why we wanted to have a conversation with Aera is because they were promising to have a platform. Rather than a tool, it was a platform that we could expand and scale very fast at a reasonable price again. But there was a compelling business need in our business to reduce forecast error, obviously to increase service levels, and to optimize inventory. We knew from a loss analysis deployment that we ran 3 years ago that we had an opportunity between 20 to 30% of inventory optimization and working capital reduction. So the compelling business need was there. So we knew since the beginning that we need to have a very solid platform that would help us with that. So after 1.5 years only, we've been able to start reducing that in the US in a sustainable way. If you see that well, not only in the US, but in developed markets, what I'm presenting here is one of those cases. We've been able to reduce more than $60 million the inventory levels
Wow.
in 1.5 years, while increasing service levels 4 percentage points. So I believe that's the best selling story for you to deploy any technology when you are able to reduce that and to increase the accuracy as well of the most recent launches of new products. If you think about it, about long tail, considering that the spirits industry, we have extremely long tail. But guess what? Those small SKUs that sells 1 or 2 bottles per month, some of them cost $10,000, $15,000. So you cannot mess the forecast on that one. You know. Besides that, in whiskeys, we are now laying down the whiskeys that are going to be sold in 20 years. So we better do a good job in terms of forecasting those. And now we are seeing those results.
Well, that's actually true exponential efficiency, exponential value. So congratulations again to you, Luis, and the whole team for delivering such an impact. Mm-hmm. So again, a lot has happened. What's next? So well, you are very ambitious, right? So
yes.
What's coming?
Yeah. First, it was about only creating what we call the selling forecast. But as many industries are already working on it, we wanted to have the depletion forecast or the sellout forecast in some markets, right? And from there, we are now collaborating like a CPFR technology with our customers. That's what Aera is allowing us to do right now here in North America. We are expanding that across the globe. But after that, what we plan to do is to enable the order automation, dynamic order fulfillment, supported by the global available to promise. That's our intention. And again, we come now Aera to deliver that from here to March 31st. That's our ambition. That's what we are deploying right now, and that's why we are investing so heavily in having our own resources. Something that I believe is adding lots of values that you have us to to create our own COE, or Center of Excellence, is allowing us to scale fast, to fail fast sometimes, but learn from that and keep implementing and keep learning, which is providing lots of value. To be honest, there is value that we didn't even think we were going to get out of the platform.
Yeah, and I think, so you talk about learnings, and I think the one thing that I take away is on this engagement is the communication, right? I felt like we had challenges. We had situations that we had to address, we had to handle, and either you or somebody else in the team was picking up the phone and say, hey, we have an issue, what do we do about this? And I think so that kind of on both sides, so that ability to connect and tackle whatever we had in front of us really allowed us to, fail fast, recover, right? So come up with an alternative plan and move forward. Luis, you said it before, you've been around, so a few companies. Actually, you mentioned Kraft Foods, right? So kind of the predecessor of Kraft Heinz. So pretty interesting. Mondelez, you mentioned, I think. So there's many companies here represented in the audience, some of which are here in New York, many virtually. What's your advice to them, to executives like yourself that are looking into, okay, is this maybe the next journey, so the next wave of innovation?
Yeah, before thinking of innovation, we are strong believers in designing the right process. It's not only automating the existing practices, because that's the initial temptation. Every single time I keep hearing from several different business units, guys, let's automate this. Okay, wait a minute. Are you automating the best-in-class process you can have, or are you creating the best-in-class process and then automate it? Because in several business processes, there is always opportunity. So you have to start with a zero-loss mentality and then create the right process and then implement the technology. So you will always be sure that you are enabling something more powerful than the pure technology itself. That's where Aera and Aera partnerships create lots of value for us, because through the partnerships that you have with Deloitte and Accenture, we're being able to create bigger things, redesign the process. So the first piece is, let's not automate by the pure sake of automation. Let's redesign the process and then automate. I believe that's the most important thing that we have learned since day one. The second one is that you need to make sure that you create value end to end. It makes no sense only to automate and to create value only for the supply chain and finance functions if it is not adding value to the sales team. You need to make sure that your KPIs reflect value for the whole organization. And if there is a challenge, because there is always the challenge, service cost and cash, you have to have the strategic agreement from the very C-level to see what direction you want to pursue. Because once you get started, there is no way back. There is no way back. You have to keep going. So that's extremely important that you have the alignment at the C-level on what's the priority for the company in the short term. And I believe the last one is the close communication, because as you mentioned, there are always challenges. During the implementation, there are always challenges. When we were implementing in 85 different countries at the same time in 3.5 months, for sure we have problems. But the close communication and the quick response from the Aera team and from the other consultancy, in that time was Deloitte, helping us with the processes, we discovered what was the root cause, we solve it, and we learn it. We fail, we learn, and we improve it really fast. That's the last advice that I would have. Be open to learn, be open to sometimes fail, but keep learning and improving the system. That would be my lesson.
Luis, thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Again, we're delighted to partner with you. It's a great honor to me and to the whole Aera team to join forces in driving innovation for Becle, and it's fascinating to see you pushing the boundaries. So thank you very much. And
thank you for the invitation.
Enjoy the rest of the conference. And with that, so back to the showcase on the Aera Decision Cloud product innovations, and back to you, Fred, our CEO, to continue with the show.